Hello, Harmony Heroes, and welcome back to the Music in Our Homeschool podcast. I'm your host, Gina Mayo. Today we're talking about one of the most beloved holiday traditions in the world, the Nutcracker by Peter Ilyich Tchaikovsky. Whether your family has seen it live on stage, watched a movie version, or simply heard the familiar strains of Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairy floating through a store at Christmas time, the Nutcracker has become completely intertwined with the holiday season. But here's the surprising thing. The Nutcracker was not always a hit. In fact, when it first premiered, critics didn't love it at all. So how did a modest Russian ballet turn into one of the world's most enduring symbols of Christmas joy? Today we'll uncover that story. And I'll share some creative ways to help your homeschool students experience the Nutcracker this December, even if you can't attend a live performance. If you are a homeschooler looking for ways to easily and affordably include a quality music education in your homeschool, you've come to the right place. This is the Music in Our Homeschool podcast. I'm Gina Mayo, homeschooling mom of 8 and music teacher for over 30 years. Let's start with the Nutcracker's composer. Peter Tchaikovsky was already a celebrated composer in Russia in the early 1890s. He had written Swan Lake and Sweeping Beauty, both wildly popular ballets. So when the Imperial Ballet commissioned him for another piece, based on a whimsical fairy tale, he accepted, though he wasn't particularly enthusiastic about the story at first. The idea for the Nutcracker came from E.T.A. Hoffmann's tale, The Nutcracker and the Mouse King, which was later adapted by the French writer Alexandre Dumas. The story tells of a young girl named Clara, or Marie, depending on which version you're reading, who receives a wooden nutcracker for Christmas, only to discover it comes to life and battles the evil Mouse King before whisking her away to a magical land of sweets. Tchaikovsky worked on the Nutcracker in 1891 and 1892, alongside another major project, his Symphony No. 6, Pathétique. He even traveled to Paris to acquire one of the first celestas, a brand new keyboard instrument that produces that delicate bell-like sound that we now associate with the Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairy. You also hear it in Hedwig's theme from John Williams. The Nutcracker premiered in St. Petersburg on December 18, 1892. The audience liked parts of it, but critics found the story confusing and thought the dancing children were unnecessary. No one could have predicted that a century later, the Nutcracker would become the most performed ballet in the world and an essential part of Christmas celebrations. So how did this Russian ballet become a Christmas classic in the United States? The music came first, even before the full ballet was performed widely. Tchaikovsky's Nutcracker Suite, which was a concert version of several dance numbers, became popular across Europe and America. Orchestras loved performing it, especially around Christmas time, because of its light, sparkling tone and its connection to a magical holiday story. But the real turning point came in the mid-20th century. After World War II, American ballet companies began staging full productions of the Nutcracker. In 1944, the San Francisco Ballet performed it, followed by the New York City Ballet in 1954 under George Balanchine's direction. Balanchine's version became a television sensation in the 1950s and 60s, reaching millions of American families for the first time. That broadcast introduced the Nutcracker as a symbol of holiday wonder, a beautiful mix of childhood imagination, family celebration, and timeless music. From then on, ballet companies began performing it annually, often using it to fund their entire season. By the 1980s, the Nutcracker wasn't just ballet. It was the Christmas performance. Even those who had never seen a live ballet knew its music instantly. Let's take a closer look at what makes the Nutcracker so magical musically. Tchaikovsky had a gift for melody. Every dance feels like a miniature world. The march captures the excitement of Christmas morning. The waltz of the flowers swirls with grandeur and joy. And of course, Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairy introduces a sound unlike anything else, that shimmering celesta, dancing delicately above the orchestra. He also used a wide variety of instruments to paint sound pictures: flutes for the airy snowflakes, brass for the toy soldiers, and rich strings for the waltzes. It's a perfect opportunity to help your students listen for instrumentation and tone color. Even the structure of the ballet, from Clara's real-world Christmas Eve to her dreamland adventure, mirrors the imaginative power of childhood. Now let's talk about how to bring the Nutcracker into your homeschool this December. If you're doing Christmas school, where you take a break from your regular curriculum and do something more festive, the Nutcracker is a perfect fit. Here are a few easy ways to explore it. One, you can watch a performance together. Find a local ballet company, or you can stream one online. You can even compare versions like Balanchine's New York City Ballet production to the Bolshoi Ballet or the Royal Ballet. Listen to the music and identify instruments. Have your kids draw what they hear or move along to the rhythms. Learn about Tchaikovsky's life. Here's one of the great romantic composers, and the Nutcracker offers a wonderful entry point to explore his other music, like Swan Lake or the 1812 Overture. Integrate art and storytelling. After listening to Waltz of the Flowers, invite your children to paint or dance their own interpretation. And compare versions of the story. You could read the original Hoffman story or Dumas's retelling and talk about how Tchaikovsky's music changes the mood and adds emotion. And of course, if you want a structured, ready-to-go way to do this, I have some perfect options inside Music in Our Homeschool. Head over to the show notes and description to find the link. So why has the Nutcracker lasted for more than a century? Partly because it speaks to something timeless, the childlike wonder that lives inside all of us. Each December, audiences gather to relive the magic: the glittering Christmas tree, the swirling snow, the unforgettable music. For children, it's often their very first exposure to classical music or to ballet, or both. And for families, it's a tradition that brings everyone together: grandparents, parents, and kids, year after year. When we study the Nutcracker in our homeschools, we're not just learning about music history, we're passing along an experience that connects generations and sparks creativity. So this December, whether you're watching the ballet, listening to the music during Christmas school, or using one of the lessons from the Music of Christmas online course, take a moment and notice the details, the instruments, the melodies, the sense of joy that fills the air. Tchaikovsky may never have imagined that his Little Christmas Ballet would become such a beloved classic, but today it's one of the most enduring ways that we celebrate the season, through music. Thanks for joining me today, Harmony Heroes. Be sure to check out the accompanying blog post for more teaching ideas, listening links, and a peek inside my Music of Christmas course. And until next time, keep making music a joyful part of your homeschool.